Councilman Pretty to lead us in our invocation and pledge. If you would, please stand.
Perfect. Father, we thank you for today. Thank you for another day in our city, Jackson. We pray that you'd continue to lead and guide us and bless our town. Help us as the council to look to you and give us wisdom as we make decisions. I pray that we would be able to put aside our biases and look to make decisions that benefit all Jacksonians. We pray in the months ahead you'd allow us to do that and just continue to look over us. We just pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Item 3 is roll call. Marquise, you see all current council members present. Item 4, approval of the minutes of September 6, 2022 City Council meeting. Those minutes were emailed to you, so if there are no additions or corrections to those minutes, they stand approved as read. We do have one proclamation, so I ask the rap to join me down at the podium.
How you doing? Doing all right? Whichever side you're on is the right side.
The proclamation reads, whereas there were 1,230 domestic violence reports in Jackson, Madison County in 2021, whereas 44% of reported crimes against persons in Jackson, Madison County involved domestic violence, whereas Jackson, Madison County reported 4 victims killed by a domestic partner in 2021, whereas domestic violence can include verbal, emotional, financial, and physical abuse, as well as confinement, intimidation, isolation, and threats. Whereas the abuse of a family member can have long-term damaging impacts on survivors and their children that impacts family, friends, and the community at large. Whereas families are indispensable to the stable society and should be a place of support and instill responsibility and values in the next generation. Whereas domestic violence is widespread and is devastating to society as a whole, but particularly to women and children. Whereas the problem of domestic violence is not confined to any group or groups of people, but crosses all economic, racial, gender, educational, religious, and societal barriers and is sustained by societal indifference. Whereas the survivors of domestic violence should have help to find the compassion, comfort, and healing they need, and domestic abusers should be held fully accountable for their crimes against persons and the community. And whereas our community has a civic and moral obligation to work to prevent domestic violence and to address its brutal and destructive effects, and to make ending domestic violence as a community priority. Whereas Jackson, Madison County is unique in West Tennessee with Family Justice Center, the Safe Hope Center, where victims and survivors can meet in one place with organizations and entities including RAP, Jackson Police Department Domestic Violence Investigation Unit, District Attorney's Office, and West Tennessee Legal Services. Now therefore, we, Scott Conger, Mayor of the City of Jackson, Tennessee, and A.J. Massey, Mayor of Madison County, Tennessee, do hereby proclaim October 2022 as Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Thank you, Mayor Conger, for your support, and thank you all for being here today. Domestic violence is a silent predator in our community, so please spread the word that we're here. People that need our help need to know that RAP is here and available for everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hey, baby girl. Good to see you.
see if we have our judge here yet. He's on his way to do the swearing in the new official. So we'll start that. Item 6 is election of a new city council member to replace the unexpired term of Gary Pickens. And we have Ricky Brown, Kip Hornberger, and Sam Turner, who are all candidates, have submitted their resumes to council. And then council had an opportunity at our pre-agenda meeting to ask them questions, hear from them, and if you all, I'll entertain what you all like to do, if you would like to hear from them again, or if there's any nominations for.
Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate Sam Turner.
Okay, we have a nomination for Sam Turner. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations?
Mayor, I'll nominate Ricky Brown.
All right, we have a nomination for Sam Turner and Ricky Brown. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Okay, we have a nomination for Ricky Brown and a nomination for Sam Turner. So council, remember that you can only vote for one. You can't vote for both. And so I'll call the names out in alphabetical order. You vote for one, you vote for the first one, you can't vote for the second one. So we have to get to a majority of council members present, which is 6. I ask you all to remember that the city council District 1 deserves representation, so we don't get to 6 and ask for some compromise moving forward. So, council, please vote for Ricky Brown. We got to turn that on up there, Markeisha. There we go. All right. All right. 2 for Ricky Brown. All right, next council, please vote for Sam Turner.
You already voted for Ricky Brown. You voted twice.
7 and 1 abstain.
All right, I feel like we just had 2 vote for Ricky, didn't we?
Somebody voted.
Somebody voted twice.
David was already on.
Yeah.
All right, so let's start over. Make sure we're all in the off position. David, there we go. All right. Now, council, please vote for Ricky Brown.
App 1.
Okay, council, please vote for Sam Turner.
7 and 1 no.
Okay. All right. By majority of the votes, Sam Turner is elected to the city council. Congratulations, Sam. And we will call for a brief recess while we wait for Judge Atkins to get here to swear Sam in, and then we'll call back after this recess is over.
Yeah.
All right, so Marquise, you go ahead and turn Sam's light on. There we go. We'll call the meeting back to order. Welcome our new councilman, Mr. Sam Turner. Also want to take an opportunity before we get into our agenda items, recognize, I think there's some members of our current Leadership Jackson class. Would please stand and be recognized. All right. They're getting started on their homework already. All right, we'll get to item 7 is invitation for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak on any item on first reading, when we get done doing that, you can raise your hand and be recognized at that time. That's an item on first reading. We move to first reading. Item 1 is consideration of an ordinance to amend the official municipal code of the city of Jackson relative to the Community Redevelopment Agency.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
You have in your packet the materials pertinent to this amendment to the code. The city has had an ongoing effort over the past few months to look at the city code and just look at areas that are out of date, that things that need to be changed. I mean, it's just housekeeping things. And so as a part of that effort, and also as a part of the CRA's effort to look at their processes and procedures, and just basically, as we enter a new phase of redevelopment, just align those processes and procedures with the authorities that we have through state law, and also that just matches the way that we do things. We have been evaluating that. So this is a result of that. In your package, you'll see the changes that we are proposing to the city code. And the first one is the statute says that the CRA members will have a 4-year term. It had 3-year, and it was probably a typo based on the staggered terms when we started, but the official annual or the official term for CRA members is 4 years, so we're making that change. In section 2, there was some language that we don't use. One was that a regular meeting in April of each year will constitute the annual meeting. Well, we don't have necessarily an annual meeting. We meet every month if we have things on the agenda. If we don't meet. So we just struck that from the text. In the next paragraph, it talks about facsimiles, and we don't fax things anymore. So we also don't deliver things by mail. We send out emails, and that's how we notify our members. So we made that change to bring us into the 21st century. In the last paragraph of that amendment ordinance, you'll see the planning department has acted as the secretary for the CRA since the very beginning. We house all the records and keep all the minutes. And so the language in the city code said that the secretary would come from the board, and that's not how we do it. And that you could see how that would be difficult because record keeping and all needs to be contained in an area where it's maintained and kept up over the years. So we just struck the line that says appoint a secretary, but the who shall be a member of the board, we're asking to take that out. The last thing is the state statute says that the council will appoint a chairman and a vice chairman. And so what we've done is we have adjusted that language in the city code to say that the chairman and vice chairman of the board shall be nominated by the board from among the board membership, subject to approval of city council, and serve for 1 year, for a term of 1 year or to the end of the term. And that's how we've done it. You know, they can, a chairman and a vice chairman can succeed themselves, and they can also have a term that lasts as long as their term, or it can last longer. It just depends on the council's wishes. But, you know, the CRA and the redevelopment process, it is a complex process at times, and it requires some consistency and knowledge. So, you know, having it turn over every year would be impossible to get that consistency. So that's not how we've operated, and that's not how it was intended. So this puts us back in alignment. The CRA will recommend a vice chairman and a chairman to you, and then you will confirm that appointment and that's how it'll be done going forward. So that puts us in alignment with state statute. So we are recommending all these changes to you. Again, they're mainly housekeeping things, no adjustments or amendments to how we do things or additions. It's just correcting some things that need to be corrected.
All right, before we get to public comment, is there any questions from council?
Stan, when's the typical elections for chairman and vice chairman?
They were appointed, or they were selected at our September meeting.
Okay.
So we will bring those to you. Once this gets amended, we will bring those amendments to you, or those appointees to you, and you can confirm those or not. So
That's assuming December, most likely, if this passes.
yes, it will. But the way it works with officers is they continue until others are
Council, we can
appointed.
probably do it in November, because this will be second reading, and that would be new business, so it'll probably be done at the same
Yeah.
time.
Okay. All right.
And we will also amend our bylaws to match the language that's contained in the city code.
Okay.
All right, any additional questions from council? This is an item on first reading, so anyone wishing to speak in favor of, opposition to, be recognized. Saw one hand up a second ago.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
Council.
Good morning.
My name is Harold Carter, NAACP Jackson, Madison County Branch. Our concern is several. CRA board was created in the mid-90s.
2009.
Okay. There was an adoption of some of the language I noticed from the Memphis CRA at the time. Our concern is several. One is that the CRA board needs to reflect the community in which it serves. And oftentimes, we look at people who are professional, people in finance, but oftentimes that's missing is those folks that actually live in these areas. They're not represented well. I understand that each of you represent a district, but oftentimes that district is not fulfilled with what we need in terms of affordability, in terms of the housing agencies. Jackson, Madison County has issues and problems with poverty. It has issues and problems with livability issues like affordable homes. People cannot afford the high rent, the high costs. And oftentimes the homes that we're really talking about are those that people are let the mortgage go or taxes behind, they're struggling. If 56% of our families in Madison County are living at or below poverty, if our schools reflect the same thing, basically of 19% homelessness, the last studies that I've seen, and that was before the pandemic. We realize that home livability, home affordability is an issue and a problem. Along with the CRA responsibilities from where I sit, is that we have to be concerned about those who just can't find decent places to live. The CRA has a land bank. In other places and jurisdictions, land banks are utilized to save the portions of homes that might be in disrepair to repair them, to make sure there's homes that are built that they're affordable. We have a tendency to sell to the highest bidder or to on bid with tax sales, those lands for investors. We have a serious housing shortage among that population of people that can afford a $200,000 home. They can't do it. So we have a population of people that's underserved. I thought the CRA was committed to helping solve that problem, to helping to make sure that people could afford homes. As you know, rent has went up. For example, you take a look at what's happening down at the lift. Those homes that was down there that the lift replaced were people that was living there for $350, $400 a month. Now you can't even get a home in that area, a rent for less than $1,000. So the affordability of the population of people, that's huge, and it's only going to get worse with gentrification. So we need some language in our CRA in order to reflect that. We also need not only representation from those areas, but we also need regular meeting dates. It should be something that's set. I'm not saying you have to meet every week, maybe not every month, but at least on a regular scheduled basis so people will know when are you meeting instead of calling meetings and people can't keep up with the dates that you're calling it on. This body is responsible for the oversight of the CRA, and you have power. That's why Stan is coming to you today to make those changes, but it needs to go further than that. One of the issues that we have, of course, is transparency. A lot of homes have been sold, and we wonder about how those homes are sold and to whom. Out-of-town investors, local investors, people taking advantage because they know stuff, know what's going to happen. When we dissect who's buying these homes, and you know, it's not the people that can not plan on living there. It's people making an investment there. So we're pricing a lot of people out of the market. I'll end with this. We have to have a conscience, we have to have a heart about where those people live. They can't escape. I think if local authorities arrested a lady a week or 2 or 3 weeks ago, sleeping in a car with 4 children. DCS has the children, and the mother's trying to find her way through the legal system. They're taking her children. In our public schools.
Mr. Carter, let's stay on the CRA. We're getting off on a preaching sermon now.
I'm just saying this has connection because there's a fund for the public school system for parents that needs help in their homes. And that's growing. In fact, most of the people that need it are not asking for it because they know that DCS, Department of Children's Services, will be looking at taking away their children if they're not doing the things they need to do. We have some issues, and I think we need to look at it a little bit deeper than just making some minor changes. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak in favor of or opposition to the changes?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
May I ask a question? Mr. Carter, before you go, I just wanted to make sure your suggestions, if you wouldn't mind, you had 3. I just want to make sure they're clear what your suggestions are for the CRA. If you would state those again, regular meeting, transparency, and I certainly understand the heart issue, but there was one more, I think. What you would like?
Representation on the CRA board of those people that's in those areas. I mean, it's critical because if you really want to know the truth and what they're dealing with, we must know the data, the statistical data. The statistical data is there. We just need to use it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, come on up, seat, and then state your name for the record, please.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Lyons, and I'm fairly new back to the Jackson area, although I am from here. But I'm not real familiar with the Community Redevelopment Agency and what their purpose is. But just based on what I've heard here this morning, I'm somewhat concerned with the vice chairman and the chairman now being appointed from within instead of allowing, it just, to me, it speaks to a lack of oversight. And as citizens in the community, I believe that we deserve to be able to have access to those positions and not just be those that are already there. In addition, I also want to touch on the fact that food and shelter they're basic needs that everybody has. And so to have people in Jackson that cannot afford basic living, decent living arrangements has to be something that is addressed and soon. I'm not sure what resources available, what's already been done, what's, you know, in the works. But I've talked to some people who, you know, they're living, even though they're paying $800, $900 a month, they're living in conditions that some of us in this room would never live in. So I just feel like that needs to be the problem of homelessness, the Community Redevelopment Agency. What I've seen personally, and so I see it from both sides. I live in East Jackson. My grandmother left me a house, but I also bought an investment property in East Jackson. So I see it from both sides. So my question, I guess, is if we're redeveloping, if we have a whole agency to do that, how are we doing that in our community? Because what I've seen so far is that we come in, we see what houses are dilapidated, and we tear them down, and there's lots of vacant lots. There's no plans to put anything in those spaces. Me, even as a potential investor, which I'm a one-person LLC, but a potential investor, I've seen some of these homes and been like, oh, I'd love to have that. I could fix that up. I could make that livable. So I guess my main question is, how do we in the community get to those houses and have an opportunity to, you know, maybe invest in those houses or, you know, salvage those houses and make them someplace where we can live and be proud to live before somebody comes. I've called Nashville. I've called the Blight Elimination Agency. They don't call you back. I've made the calls and I've tried to find, hey, who owns this house? Hey, you know, it's boarded up. Who do I get in touch with? Nobody knows. Nobody knows who owns it. Nobody knows who I'm supposed to call. Nobody knows. So again, that's my concern. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. Lyons.
Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Let me say good morning.
Wait till you get to the microphone. We gotta have you on record.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you. Not that familiar with the process, but it is an honor. I'm currently on the CRA board.
State your name for the record this morning, please.
Pardon
State your
me?
name for the record this morning.
I'm sorry.
You're fine.
My name is Jimmy Trice Baylor. And as stated, I'm currently on the CRA board. And I have to say, I'm thrilled, overjoyed that we are getting to the point of speaking in terms of transparency and hopefully going in the direction of what transparency truly is. Because some of the issues raised, I've raised them. You know, I don't recall the election being held in September, but nonetheless, if we're moving in that direction to make sure that we are following what's set up in law, that the same people are not in the same positions for year after year after year, and then we come to meetings like this, and people in the community are not aware of what their resources are, we have issues. So I wanted to make sure I voiced that, and I look forward to serving in whatever capacity. But the main focus for me is empower your people, your citizens, and make sure that if they have a need, they know who to come to. You know, you shouldn't have to call the state. You know, and maybe part of moving forward with the CRA board in the meetings, make sure that information is getting out to the people that need to have it. Those meetings and even the minutes, we shouldn't guess on what was discussed, when it was discussed. Make the meetings available to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Ms. Baylor, thank you for coming. Can you tell me how long have you been on the board? I didn't catch that.
Almost 2 years now.
Okay.
And it was questioned, we needed to have elections. because initially we were not.
Okay, and Mr. Pilot, you said earlier about the minutes that that you all were going to, how are you gonna go about doing that now?
Well, the state statute requires that, that basically the CRA will recommend to the council the chairman and vice chairman, and then this council will be responsible for appointing the chairman and vice chairman.
And which one of those would be responsible for minutes and,
We keep the minutes of the CRA.
okay,
And the election of officer, it could have been August, I don't recall exactly when it was, but again, those appointees, those recommendations will be presented to you, and then you will either confirm them or decide to choose someone else from the board of directors. And again, we're not changing anything in terms of the way things operate. The state statute determines that the vice chairman and the chairman come from the body. It doesn't come from, outside the body. So the only thing that will, the only adjustment is making sure those appointments or those recommendations come to you for confirmation. So.
just one more question, please. Ms. Baylor, so you are able to go to each meeting they have, is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
And I appreciate your passion.
And also, let me add, I think the Constitution also speaks in terms of the city and the county identifying a representative.
And they do.
And the length of time that person should be assigned.
They do. We have county appointees, because the legislative bodies choose the members that are going to be on the board of directors. So the city has appointees and the county has appointees.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All
Thank
right,
you.
yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Pilot, I'm not aware of,
I'm gonna close the public hearing, then we'll get to that. Is anyone wishing to speak in favor of, anyone else wishing to speak in favor of or opposition to? All right, seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Now,
I'm not aware, has this practice of coming to the council, have we not been performing that?
No, not
Okay.
according to, not the way the city code was, and the way it was constructed. That was one of the things, as we went through the processes and procedures, we determined that needed to be done. The chairman was originally appointed by the council, yes. But
Okay.
the vice chairman has never been appointed by the council. And going forward, it was basically they elected, as many boards do, from, nominations within the board itself. But in an opportunity to get that to be in alignment with the state statute, that's why we're proposing these changes to you.
all right, any other questions or discussions from council? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 6. Motion passed 7 to 1 abstain.
All right. Thanks, Stan. Item 2 is a proposed budget amendment for the city pension plan, the amount of $10,913.
Good morning. As the mayor stated, this budget amendment,
Oh, sorry, hey, well, excuse me, I got ahead of myself. I asked council to vote on that. Is there a motion?
No.
We got a discussion.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second.
Second.
All right, any further discussion after we have the motion and the second? All right, now council, please vote again.
Motion passed 8 to 0.
Hold your vote.
Okay.
7-1.
7 to 1 abstain.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman McKelvey. Now, city pension plan. Sure. Budget amendment,
yeah,
$10,000.
so the budget amendment for your consideration this morning would actually appropriate the funds to pay for an increase that was approved by the city pension board, which is in essence this council recently for beneficiaries and of the city pension plan, so.
All right, any questions from council?
I was notified, I think this has been reflected in the most recent distribution.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay, that's it.
All right. This is an item on first reading, so open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or opposition to be recognized at this time. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
All right, item 3 is proposed budget amendment, American Rescue Plan, $0. I will make a point of clarification for the council. Normally, our regular budget amendments under 10,000 would go into the last item under new business for sunshine purposes, but since this is an American Rescue Plan item, I want to make sure the council had an opportunity to vote on that, so there's an approval of movement of the money prior to doing that, so we're not just sunshine, we're having council an opportunity to approve all the amendments.
This is for the police department, and this is consistent with the commitment that was made when the original spend plan was approved, I guess a couple of years ago now. Priorities change, and this is just simply reallocating a requested project that the police department had been approved for previously to what their needs are today, so.
All right, any questions from council? This is an item on first reading, so open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of or opposition to be recognized? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we get on to second reading. Item 1 is proposed budget amendment for CEDC reimbursement revenue and expenses in the amount of $13,833.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion from council? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 2 is proposed budget amendment for city employee back pay in the amount of $116,636.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 3 is consideration of an ordinance to amend Title 17 Refuge and Trash Disposal Ordinance for the city of Jackson.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion from council?
Just quickly, I think there was another draft sent out. Is there any substantive changes that have happened in this since we passed it? A grammatical thing? Okay.
All right, any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
On a new business, consideration of a contract with Routeware, Recollect?
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
This is a contract with Routeware for the Recollect software. This software is off a Sourcewell contract, which provides us a discount. Recollect offers a waste management wizard tool that's currently used in Metro Nashville. This will be a one-year contract with 4 one-year options to renew.
So we have from, what are we doing with this software? Chris or Leilani?
So it's the next moving, well, it's the final moving part to the new system that we're going to for bulk waste. This is going to allow us to schedule the bulk waste. It is digital, so it allows the customers to be the pilot, access it from, it can be mobile app, it can be through the computer, as long as it's web-based. This whole entire system is based on waste and recycling industry. So this is what we need to be able to schedule and provide the services.
Question, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So I think this will be a good piece for the majority, but those that don't have access to technology, how will they be able to schedule?
They will still call in.
They can
the
call
office,
in, and then
yes,
we'll
and
have
we will
someone.
use this system to schedule them.
Okay.
We'll have someone in this office scheduling on their behalf in the system as
That's
they call
correct.
in. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Question just for the public transparency. Right now, we're at about every 3 to 4 weeks for the bulk waste. Will this change how often, or is it really just when they schedule it?
It's pretty much going to be it. I mean, we're going to a scheduled system now.
Okay, So that it could be that they could get it done twice a month if they needed to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions from council? Is there a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 no.
All right. Item 2 is consideration of a contract for A&E with TLM for the front entrance at TR White.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Item 3 is consideration of extension of the management agreement with First Transit for JTA.
This is just a monthly extension of the current contract with First Transit while we work on the current contract.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
Thank you.
Thanks, Zach.
Thank you.
Item 4 is consideration of committee and board appointments, Keep Jackson Beautiful, Kristen Carr and Dana Bush.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 abstain.
Appointment of the beer board, appointment of Councilman Pretty to replace Councilman Pickens.
So moved.
Second.
A motion is second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 8 to 1 abstain.
Item 5 is the budget amendments less than $10,000. Item 6, consideration of invoices over $10,000.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Council, please vote.
Motion passed 9-0.
No further business coming before the council. We're adjourned.